What's up, guys? I hope each of you are doing good. I miss hanging out with you on our Motivational Mondays. I shared with you guys before how excited I was to come in each Monday and spend time with you. And I really meant that. Unfortunately, because of the craziness of this virus, I don't get a chance to see you guys anymore. But I did want to jump on here and spend some time with you just to encourage you, of course, to motivate you, and more importantly, inspire you to use this situation our world is in right now to put yourself in a better situation when this whole pandemic is all over. You see, when bad things happen, it definitely stinks. This situation is nothing we've ever seen before. I hope and pray that none of you or your family members have been affected by the virus. Hopefully, you guys are following the rules of staying in, practicing social distancing, and wearing your mask when you guys go out. Guys, this virus is what we call adversity, and today I want to take a little bit of time to encourage you and talk about how to overcome adversity. So let's get started. Okay, guys, here's our agenda for today. First, we're going to talk about what exactly is adversity, right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some benefits of adversity, and then we're going to talk about what are some ways to deal with adversity. And then we're going to close it out, or towards the end, I'm going to show you guys a very brief video on a young lady by the name of Jasmine Walker, who's dealt with a lot of adversity in her life, and I think there's so many lessons you can learn from her, the adversity she's been dealing with in her life, okay? So what is adversity? Let's define it first. So adversity is a state or instance of serious or continued difficulty. So in that definition, I want to focus on a few words. The first is serious, and then second, continued difficulty, right? So what's classified as serious? So let's say you want a pair of sneakers or you want a pair of jeans and you can't get it. Your parents won't allow you to get it for whatever reason they choose not to get it for you. That's not something that's considered adversity. That's not really something that's serious. It's just something you want. Let's say you wanted to go to the movies with your friends and your parents say, no, you can't go. That's not really adversity. Let's say you wanted to go to a concert and you can't go. That's not considered adversity. Maybe some of you had plans to go away to vacation someplace this summer, and because of this situation, this pandemic, and because financial hardship now, maybe you can't go. That's not something that's considered adversity. It's something you want, but that's not really adversity. That's not something that's serious or continued difficulty. So let's talk about some things that we can classify as adversity or something serious. Divorce. Unfortunately, a lot of us are dealing with divorce in our family. Sometimes, our parents just make a decision to separate from each other and they want to just lead separate lives. That's something that is serious because it's something that can affect us, right? So that's something that is adversity. How about sickness? Can't remember if I told you 8 years ago, I want to say 2011, December or November of 2011, my mother suffered a stroke and she almost lost her life, and they had to do emergency surgery on her to spare her life, and thankfully she's doing great now. But that was something that was serious, and that's something that could have affected how she lived. But if you looked at her now, you would never know. So that's something I would classify as adversity. How about loss of employment? Unfortunately, because of this virus, a lot of people have lost their employment. And, unfortunately, I'm sure maybe some of your parents have lost employment. I don't know. But not having money to bring in each month, it causes issues. It causes serious issues. Maybe now your parents can't feed you at all, or maybe they can't feed you as often as they were before, or maybe now they can't buy you clothes, or maybe now they can't pay the rent, they can't pay the mortgage, or maybe there's just utility bills or just different expenses. Now they can't pay for any of that because of this adversity of them losing their job. That's something that's serious. That's something that's continued difficulty, right? How about homelessness? I told you guys when I was younger, that was adversity. That was something that I had to learn from. And then I expressed to you guys, or I told you guys before, that my father passed away when I was 13 years old. That was something that was considered adversity. It's something that was serious. It was a continued difficulty, and it took me years to be able to recover from that. So So again, adversity is something that's serious and it's something that is continual difficulty. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about some of the benefits of adversity. All right, guys, so what are the benefits of adversity? I'm going to give you four. There's a lot, but I'm going to give you four. The first is it helps you become more resilient. What exactly does resilience mean? So resilience means you're someone who bounces back right after you deal with challenges or difficult situations. So this is a situation where, we're going through adversity. You can't allow adversity to make you stop. You have to be able to absorb bad things that happen in your life, but you have to still keep going. And that's exactly what resilience is. The second thing is adversity will teach you how to be uncomfortable. So I've mentioned to you before, there's a lot of benefits to being uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good, but there are benefits to it. Let's touch on a few. Discomfort will teach you a lot about yourself and how strong you are. When I lost my father, I didn't think that I could go on in life. I really didn't. It was something that hit me to the core, but that situation really taught me how strong I was as a person. And this situation, along with a lot of other adversity you may deal with, it's going to show you how strong you really are. Another thing that discomfort will teach you is it's going to bring out your creativity. Obviously, we were meeting in person. Because of this virus, I had to find a different way to connect with you. So I had to be creative, and I created this video to be able to connect with you guys. So this adversity is going to teach you how to be more creative. It's going to teach you on how to accept the uncontrollable. You can't allow adversity. Adversity is inevitable, but you can't allow it to control your life, right? So that's another way that discomfort will teach you some things. It's going to give you perspective. I talked about my homelessness when I was younger. It's going to make you appreciate the fact that you have a roof over your head. It's going to make you appreciate the fact that, you have, loved ones. It's going to make you appreciate the fact that you're healthy. It's going to make you appreciate so many different things. It's going to put things into perspective when you're uncomfortable, because you compare your life to other people and it'll just show you how good you really have it. So another thing is it's going to teach you how to be humble, right? So there's a few things on what discomfort will teach you. So another benefit is it helps you figure out your strengths and your weaknesses. If you're someone who's impatient, this situation is going to expose that. I don't know how close you are to each of your family members, but to be this close to family members and to really be stuck in each other's faces, it's going to let you know whether or not you're a patient person or whether you're an impatient person. It's going to highlight whether or not you're a good listener. You're going to have to listen to your parents, of course. And when you have conversations with people, it's going to expose whether or not you're a good listener or maybe you need to work on that, right? It's going to expose how helpful you are. Now that you're home, your mom, your father, your parents, your siblings, they might need some help. So this is going to expose whether or not you're someone that's very helpful, or are you someone that maybe has a little bit of selfishness and needs to learn how to be a little bit more selfless, right? It's going to expose how caring of a person you are. And that kind of falls in line with the selfishness as well. And lastly, another benefit is it's going to provide opportunities for growth. I've said to you guys plenty of times how great reading is, how powerful reading is. Use this time to read up on areas, just to read, but focus on some areas that maybe you weren't interested in. Maybe you're not good at history. Start doing some, more reading on history. Maybe you're not good at math. Maybe do a little bit more studying in math. Try to grow as an individual so that when you come out of here, you want to make sure that you're ready to go. You've grown and you're a better person because of this experience. So understand that you have to be ready in order to not have to get ready when you end up going back to school. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what are some ways you can use to actually cope with adversity. How do you deal with adversity? All right, guys, so what are some ways to deal with adversity? So if you remember a month or two ago, it's been so long I don't even know at this point, but if you remember, we had a class on friends and surroundings and the importance of who you surround yourself with, right? So one way to deal with adversity is surround yourself with positive people. Now, I understand this might be very challenging because if you don't have family members that are positive, I understand the challenge in that. But there are different ways you can connect with people. Maybe you can text positive people. You can still call your friends who are positive. Maybe social media. I don't know if you're on social media. That's another way you can connect with positive people. Maybe you can watch videos on different positive people. So make sure you surround yourself with people who are feeding you positive and not the negative. Another way is embrace it. So, listen, this is a chance to learn. And this adversity, it's not going anywhere. So you might as well just embrace it. Understand that there's lessons in every single difficulty. Every challenge you go through in life, there's lessons in it. So you might as well embrace it. It's not going anywhere. And lastly, try your hardest to keep a positive mindset. We just talked about who you surround yourself with. There's other ways you can keep a positive mindset. What are you feeding your mind? If you're watching all day, every day, if you're watching on TV, COVID, all you're hearing is somber news. You're hearing negative news. And it's important to stay informed, but try to watch things that uplift you, some things that inspire you, that motivate you. You can watch it via YouTube videos. You can watch it, again, maybe your friends who are pouring in positivity into you. So keep a positive mindset. Try your hardest to keep a positive mindset, okay? So guys, what we're going to do is, you know how I am at this point. I love to give you videos that sort of touch on the topics we're talking about. And today, I want to have you watch this video on a young lady named Jasmine Walker. Now, you don't know who she is. She's not famous, but she's a young teenager who's based out of San Diego, California. And I want you to get a chance to listen to her story. She's had a lot of adversity in her story, but there's a lot of lessons in it, and I think it's going to inspire you. So check this out.
In the shadow of San Diego's Petco Park is a stark reminder of what life is like for many in this city. San Diego has the fourth largest homeless population in the U.S., and nearly 1,200 of them are minors. This is a story about one of them, teenager Jasmine Walker. Do you feel like a teenager?
For some weird reason, I really don't. I already know life is going to be a struggle, so I feel like I have a little preparation for that.
Jasmine became homeless 10 years ago, when she was 9. That's when her father left the family. Shortly after, her mother lost her job. The family turned to homeless shelters, but because of gender and age restrictions, Jasmine, her mom, and Jasmine's 3 siblings were split up.
Not having my mom there, it's just me there laying in my bed by myself with people I don't know. I don't know how these people are, so it was pretty scary.
How many different places have you lived in here in San Diego?
Probably like 20.
20? 20.
Jasmine did find some consistency. At age 12, she enrolled at the Monarch School, one of the only schools in the country that caters exclusively to homeless students. They provide their 350 students with food and clothing. They also give them the chance to play sports. By the time she was a freshman, Jasmine was 5'10", but had never touched a basketball.
People will tell me, oh, you're tall, you should play, and you have the height for it, and I'm like, no, never, no. But they had it, so we're like, yeah, we're just gonna try.
When she started playing, it was like second nature to her. So I was like, are you sure this is your first time ever actually playing? Because you're pretty good at it for just trying the first time.
What was the hardest time to be Jasmine's friend for you?
I feel like the hardest time was when she was living in the tent.
At the start of high school, Jasmine was living in a tent on a sidewalk near the school.
Did you get cold?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially when the weather was cold. There's been times where we're out here when it was raining, so we have to like extra blankets and all that just to stay warm.
All right, guys, so you can see Jasmine at a very young age, she's dealt with a lot of adversity. And really, there's so many lessons in her story. There's so much more to her story, and I just don't have enough time for you to see the entire video that highlights everything related to her video, to her story. So what I did was I actually wrote out some things that you may not have heard or in her story within that short video. So of course it talks about her being homeless at the age of 9, what happened with her father leaving her mom losing her job, and obviously her and her 3 siblings experiencing homelessness because of it. It talked about how she moved into a homeless shelter by herself. It talked about how she was alone living with strangers in another shelter by herself. And it talked about for several years she was in and out of shelters and tents, living on the streets. Guys, she was living on the streets. Did you hear that in the video? It also talked about how she estimated that she had lived in 20 different places at her young age. Think about that, guys. It talked about, that video didn't talk about, but the longer video talked about how she used buckets as toilets. She begged for money. She often went to sleep hungry and cold. When she was 12, she enrolled in a school. They provided programs, food, showers, clothes, but they didn't provide her a place to sleep. Think about that. As a teenager, as a young teenager, think about that. She was homeless that young. What the video didn't mention to you is she became pregnant at the age of 14. She was with a 21-year-old man who ended up getting her pregnant, and what ended up happening is very disturbing. But that man pleaded no contest to 5 counts of felony child abuse and was sentenced to 24 years in prison. The son, his name was D'Angelo, he was 11 weeks old, and his father beat him so badly that he was left, and he was afflicted with cerebral palsy. Look up what cerebral palsy means. It's something that's not good, obviously. So her child was taken into Child Protective Services because Jasmine was a baby herself. She was a kid herself, and being homeless, she couldn't raise an infant. So they ended up taking her child away. So there were so many difficulties and challenges that Jasmine dealt with, but she didn't allow those to stop her. All those situations didn't stop her from living life and improving herself. She was resilient. Let's talk about some things that happened. When she was enrolled in the school for homeless children, she ended up meeting her coach. Her coach one day found out that she was tall. She had never played basketball before, invited her to a tryout. She came, ended up doing really well, and they found out that she had talent. She was very successful playing basketball, and one day what happened was she needed to go to practice, and she didn't come to practice one day. So the coach was asking her friends where she was, and no one knew where she was. And what ended up happening was the police actually did a street sweep where they go and they make all the homeless people remove their tents and remove their belongings so that pedestrians could walk on the sidewalk. And in the midst of that, that's how he found out she was homeless, so she was dealing with homelessness. In the midst of that, a lot of her belongings were stolen. Included in those belongings were her basketball sneakers. Her coach ended up providing her with basketball sneakers. So not only that, she ended up building a bond with the coach's wife. And in the midst of that, the coach's wife ended up calling around and found an organization that actually took her in. So what ended up happening was, now that she had stability, not only was she performing well in basketball, where she was a 2-time player of the year in her conference, but she did well in basketball, but she also did well academically because she was stable. right? So we're talking about adversity here. And because of that, and she did so well in school that in HBCU school, I know a couple of months ago, you guys told me you had projects for Miss McAnulty, and you guys did projects on HBCU schools. And one of the schools is Bethune-Cookman. She was able to go there to Bethune-Cookman under a scholarship, and she turned her life around. So that's what I'm talking about, guys. When you're dealing with adversity, you can't allow it to stop you. She could have easily stopped and given up, being that she was a homeless person. But she was resilient, she was persistent in what she wanted, and she didn't allow it to stop her. And I want to encourage each of you guys to embrace this adversity. It's not fun. It's not something that's making you comfortable, but learn the lessons you need to learn. Make sure you get better. Make sure you use it to grow as individuals. And as soon as this adversity stops, like I said, you guys can hit the ground running and do amazing things. So what I want to do is, I think a lot of times when we're watching TV and you're hearing the words COVID-19 or this coronavirus, you're always thinking of the negative. And what I want to do is I want to give you an acronym, and I want you to look at COVID. When you hear it, I want you to look at it and think about it in a different way. Okay, so let's look at COVID, right? I want you guys to look at COVID this way. The C, I want you to look at it as character. What exactly does character mean? Character is who you are. Whether you're an honest person, a responsible person, a respectful person, a caring person, I want you to think of character when you think of the C in COVID. O stands for obstacles. What are obstacles? It's things that block your progress. And clearly this virus is something that has stopped your progress. But think of the obstacles, right? The V stands for valiant. What does valiant mean? It means being brave. It means being courageous. I want you guys to think of how courageous you are, how brave you are to be going through this, and how you're going to come out on the other side much better than what you are right now. The I stands for imagine. What does that mean? I want you to visualize, where do you see your future? When this is over with, where do you guys visualize yourself being? Like, how successful do you plan on being as a student? How successful do you plan on being next year in high school? How successful do you plan on being when you go to college, when you guys are running companies, when you guys are owning your own businesses? Visualize where you want your future to be. Where do you see yourself in the future? Get into the habit of imagining how you want your life to be. And lastly, the D stands for determination. Make a decision that things will be different in the future no matter what. I don't care if you're stuck in your house right now. I don't care if you don't have the money you want. I don't care if you don't have the clothes you want. Maybe your life isn't as good as some of your classmates. I don't care what it is. Use this situation to reflect on your life. Use this situation to get better and develop a determination that no matter what things look like, things will be better in the future. So again, I want you, when you think of COVID, I want you to think of C for character, O for obstacles, the V is for valiant, I is for imagine or imagination, and the D is for determination. So guys, I'm excited that I got a chance to spend some time with you. Hopefully you guys learned something on how to deal with adversity. Again, we talked about what adversity was. We talked about what the benefits of adversity was. And then we also talked about different ways to deal with adversity. So hopefully you guys learned something. Again, remember to wash your hands. I think they say wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Be safe. When you guys go out, make sure you have your mask on. Make sure if you got to wear gloves and you got to take extra precaution, do that. Make sure you practice social distancing where you're staying at least 6 feet away from the next closest person to you. So guys, just understand, I miss seeing you guys, I miss hanging out with you guys, but just continue to believe in yourself. I'm telling you, this is something that's temporary. Just get better and get it as better as you can. Learn what you need to learn. You guys are going to do amazing things. I believe in you. I hope you guys believe in yourself. Have an awesome day.